Okay. So one of the highlights from the meet from COABE was our first in-person Strand meeting since 2008. And I know not everyone who was there was able to attend, but we had quite a few there in Indianapolis in this conference room that we met in. And it was just great to see everybody because I know a lot of times we've just seen people from a Zoom meeting and see their little teeny little face or their avatar or whomever. So it was great to be able to interact with people in person and great to see everyone. And I thought we had a really good discussion there. So this was history in the making with the first in partner Strand meeting in, see if my math is right, that would be 8 years. So that's a long time. So I'm glad we have restarted that tradition. And there was our group photo that we had after the meeting was over. And that was the serious smiling photo. We also did a less serious photo, but we decided to go with the more serious smiling photo the for the meeting today. I thought that was a very nice picture of those who were there. And thank you for those who attended and were able to come to the meeting. So let's get into the discussion part of our meeting and just have a few reflection questions. The first one being, I'm so glad I came to COABE 2026 in person because, and I guess I'll go ahead and get the ball rolling with that. And I always think about COABE as the like the Super Bowl of adult education. And everybody wants to go to the Super Bowl because it's a huge event to be a part of. And to me, it's really like a big family reunion with people that you only see every so often. And it's great since we had several conference years interrupted with COVID, and it was great to have and be able to see people that we don't ordinarily see in day-to-day life. So it was really great for that networking that we can only do in person when we're there face to face with some folks. So I was really glad to come because it was just great to see people face to face and great to meet several of you that I had never met before. So the floor is open. So please, I'm so glad I came to COAB 26 because the floor is open.
Oh gosh, if I may start. Thank you, Stephen. And again, thank you very much for pointing out that I was not there for the face-to-face meeting. Still feel bad about it. I'm so sorry. We just had, conflicting schedules for the same reason that that I'm about to tell you why I enjoyed COAB so much. It's the fact that it's face-to-face. And it's I think that the sheer virtue of the fact that you're mingling with professionals and those sidebar conversations become so very important. So the networking, I think, is just absolutely something that I just can't get via Zoom, right? Via Zoom is much more focused on the content, on a specific topic, on a specific aspect of, whatever it is that we need to be that we're interested in listening to or observing. But it's really the follow-up conversations. So as far as the conference is concerned, I really did appreciate the longer breaks. That it was not, rush from meeting to meeting. We had time to get a cup of coffee and really mingle and just kind of like, introduce ourselves to others who share similar interests in a professional setting. And it's not just hello, can I have your number kind of a thing or your email address and then disappear. So to me, it was really very important part of it that it was scheduled very well, leisurely enough. I could walk, talk to people, engage in a discussion, and then say goodbye. And now I have, I don't know, 12 contacts that I developed as a result. So I'm very grateful.
Thank you, Yerrick. And no shame, no blame for not being able to come to the in-person meeting.
No, not the problem.
So I had several comments in the chat. Got to see math friends. Dee mentioned, and Jennifer said, see old friends and learn. All right. Who else?
I mean, I'll go next. You know, reiterate everything that's been said so far in terms of like connecting with people in person. There, you just can't, it's just a different way to connect, and I think a lot of us really miss, seeing people in person, and so that's really great about the conference. But also, I really enjoy attending the sessions live in person because I think you get so much more out of them. I love hearing about what's going on in the field. What are people talking about? Seeing some of the new and innovative things that they're doing, and so that's really worthwhile from my perspective.
Thank you, Sonia.
I can go. Yeah, I don't know if I have anything to add. It is obviously the in-person aspect that makes the conference really great. I don't feel like I had the same experience as Yarrick, but that is my own fault because of I was just on a bunch of presentations. And so I felt like I was passing people and seeing them in person, but not not getting the time that I might have wanted just to sit down and chat. But yeah, the face-to-face is absolutely the best part of it, and getting to, as Sonia said, go to sessions.
I think it's a lot more fun to present in person. I mean, I present on Zoom all
Hmm.
the time, and in person, it's more fun. You get, I think, better questions and more, not more engagement, but just a different kind of engagement. And then people will stop and talk to you after the presentation, and you'll really get into deep conversations that you wouldn't so much if you were presenting on Zoom. So I really enjoy the presenting aspect of being in person.
All right, thank you, Teresa. Well, appreciate all the good comments there. And if anyone has anything to add, please do so in the chat. Let's move on to our next question. Let's talk a little bit about how we supported our strand at the conference. And you could talk about things that we did prior to the conference. We could talk about things that we actually did at the conference. And really, the purpose of this is for us to be able to give ideas to one another so we can think about things for next year. I know we have so many creative people here, and everyone can learn from one another, and we can get ideas for next year about how to support our strands in perhaps some new ways. So let's talk about this. How did you support your strand prior to, during the conference, please?
Well, we talked about this in the in-person meeting, but for the digital literacy and technology strand, we made it a goal to try and, prior to the conference, to try and encourage people to submit proposals. And then we've kind of maybe kicked ourselves because we got so many proposals, but that we had to look through. But it was great, and we started a kind of a Google group to try and get engagement outside of, just the COABE part of the year, but throughout the year. We had a couple of webinars talking about just for people to come and talk about what they might propose or anything they wanted to talk about in terms of going to COABE and to kind of build excitement. Um, so all those things we did prior to COABE. We also had our strand, Jeff and Nell and I had all attended net inclusion. So we brought to the strand what we learned from that conference, and then as kind of a precursor to getting ready to go to COABE. So sharing that knowledge. Um, and then Jeff, you can jump in and talk about this too if you want. But during the conference, we had a networking event where people in the room who came, we asked them to create a sticker for the strand using AI. So people broke into groups of, I think it was like 3 to 5 people. And within that hour, they kind of came up with group ideas and how to maybe, they didn't have to use AI. I guess they could use other sources too. But we then left like 5-10 minutes at the end to show all the creations, and the room voted on the winner. And then Nell had found a printer who made the stickers, and we gave them out on Wednesday. At another event we had, which was a kind of a tech slam where people could, oh, great, Marilyn's got the sticker on her desk. Where at the tech slam people could come, and there's so many opportunities of talks to go to, you can't go to every one. So people came and kind of shared what some of the best practices they learned or some of the interesting things they learned with the group, and kind of just come up and share something you learned style. And then in between those two, that was Monday, and then the tech slam was on Wednesday, and on Tuesday we had an informal lunch in one of the presentation rooms where people could just bring their lunch, and we just sort of chatted about topics that were hot in our strand or field. And that was really nice. That was very, very interesting conversation, and just a great way to get to know people. So that's kind of what we did. Jeff, did I forget anything?
No, that covers everything. So,
What about
Yeah.
the
and it was
guy
nice,
sitting
and thank you.
outside the Strand rooms?
Yeah, no, thank you, Michelle. It was very nice to have a section where we knew all of, pretty much 90% of the Strand, if not all, sessions were happening, because that, just created that sort of space to make it easy to convene on those things.
And we had asked, and Michelle had kindly provided for part of some of the participants in the Strand were through tangentially related with this IES grant. So five or six different groups that had been given funding by IES, and part of the project they were doing had to involve some kind of digital skill or technology. And this is the 5th year of that 5th year grant. So the projects are kind of done and have tangible products, I guess, that people can use. So Michelle let us set up some tables outside of where our Strand, most of the Strand presentations were, and we put posters on them and kind of describing these research projects and what the teams had created from that grant funding. So that was really nice, and we got a lot of people stopping by and kind of asking questions, I understand.
Love to see your sticker. Could anyone put it in the chat?
I don't have it, but
I have a different tumbler today. Sorry. I drink too much water.
Anyone else, how you supported your Strand during the conference?
Steve, so this is Yarek again. I think that it's not even myself alone, but and me and by myself, but I see that there is quite a bit of activity on social media, and that's something that I think always is of value, right? These days, LinkedIn is paramount. There's quite a bit of activity elsewhere in other spaces, and I think we just need to continue this. It's sometimes it's kind of like disheartening, because you create a post and there's 3 views after a month, so you kind of like think like but I think it all adds up. It actually does, because with Sharon and other people who are posting constantly, I like to at least give it a 5 or thumbs up or whatever, kind of some kind of a reaction. I do forward those posts every so often to my circles, and I think that's something that we can probably kind of like make a point, because it really, when you're looking through the posts on social media, it's really not that hard to forward them or to acknowledge them at least. And I think that would be of value to all of us, to support our community, right? So if this is something that COABE does, then we can support that. Another thing is that, there's the journal, the COABE journal that I think is not really, let's just say, maybe it could be better pronounced. Maybe its presence kind of like, because, to be honest, I think we all have stories to share. And I think from what I gosh, I just had a conversation, not this time around, but last year, the year before when I was at COABE. Um, the scary part seems is that it's an official scholarly journal, and many people kind of like, well, I spent the time doing all this, and then I'm going to get rejected. So who knows? Maybe something can be said about, okay, there's other venues where you can post those things. It doesn't have to be the scholarly journal. There's the oh gosh, let's just say a number of free blogs where you can probably successfully submit your paper, even if it doesn't meet the requirements of the official research paper. So this just comes as a suggestion. And another thing is that, again, with Steve's guidance and leadership, I certainly appreciate the opportunity to review the sessions as they come in. So Steve, if you ever need people, then I think it is a good idea again to send out this email to others who are willing and able to contribute. I think that's an important function to make sure that the sessions are of quality. So yeah, I think those would be my comments on this topic.
Yeah, thank you, Yorick. I learned a little bit about the COABE journal with presentations that we had to the COABE board right before the conference. And I learned that it used to be a scholarly journal, which no one would read. I think the focus in recent years has changed it to more of a practitioner focused publication now,
Mhm.
less academic, less research based, more this is how we are applying good research based principles inside the classroom. Michelle, what have I missed about the journal?
Well, also, you could submit those articles or to our adult educators resource website at any time. So always keep that in mind that we do have our AER website. I know, we have some things that we're going to start uploading all the journal individual articles on there. We'll have a journal section. We do have a links section because we know links went down, and I know that there's so many good resources that were on there that we've, you know, tried to scoop them up. So we have a section, to focus on what they had to offer before that goes away. It's definitely a good tool to use. And if there's anything that you think that should be submitted at any time, especially as Strand leaders, please let us know. We'd be happy to have it in there, especially for a moment of silence for links. Yeah. Especially for a conference, you guys know who those really top important sessions are. Please encourage them to submit it to the AER. It's aer@coabe.org, you know, and we'll get those sessions uploaded.
Very good. Thanks, Michelle. And appreciate everyone who contributed lots of good creative ideas we could be thinking about for next year. And love the sticker idea. That's awesome. That's awesome. All right, moving on. Let's think about this question. Some ideas to support my strand in the next year are maybe you were thinking of some things that you wanted to do differently, maybe picked up some ideas before, during, or immediately after the conference, after being there or attending online. What are some ideas that we're looking at for supporting Strand going forward in 26, 27?
Yeah, he is getting a lot of publicity, TJ. I like that.
So our tech slam, it is on the last day, and obviously we know a lot of folks are um, departing at that point. But it also does fall during sessions.
Hmm.
Um, and so it's challenging because you're competing with people who are part of your strand and then therefore cannot partake in that. And the slam actually in the past, at least the first year, it wasn't necessarily a recap of what you've learned. It was kind of bring anything that you know that you want to share that's cool, that is like a tech tip almost, which also has value. But there's two things that I'm thinking here. One, in other conferences, there have been opportunities for what's called like an unconference. And those things, it's sort of like there's a whiteboard or like places for people to put sticky notes. And the conference organizers, or in this case, maybe the Strand folks, have the opportunity to like say, hey, go to the board, add topics that you want to talk about with others while you are here. And so basically those get used to, and in the case of the organizers, like coordinate to say, okay, these are like the 10 topics that people really want to talk about. And then there's a portion of a day that allows for people to just be in a room, go into those groups and talk about those topics like organically. And so I think of that idea and I think of what our Tech Slam was this year, where it was people sharing out something they learned. And I think it would be interesting to be able to provide some sort of structured opportunity for a Strand discussion that's not after hours, which it like our networking event is that, and that's the first day. So there's not necessarily, we want that to be fun because everyone's exhausted after the first day. But something that like at some point in the midst of the conference allows for folks to come together. Anyone who's interested in those topics, not like you're competing or you happen to have a session during that time, to be able to talk about topics of interest. And I think it could be really helpful and informative for COABE even in terms of understanding what are the hot topics that people are talking about and interested in that the strands could share out with you after. But it also does provide sort of a set time that there's no competing anything because there's always something. It's like that's
Always.
3 days. And so it's just a thought to be able to provide some structured networking time that's in relation to like the real-time experience people are having where they're not exhausted at the end of the day and they're not thinking about the other thing that they're missing because of the fact that they're here.
Right.
So that's just a thought.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff. That's a great idea.
We might be good on Wednesday for New Orleans because I'm just saying a lot of people stay extra. So
That's true. Yeah,
we
yeah.
might be okay, maybe. But I do like that kind of idea, and maybe we just segue, like the last I hate to say the last two sessions because it makes it sound like at the end of the day, but maybe even like right after lunch on Wednesday, and we form maybe some of those kind of, like you said, get-togethers, networking for specific topics that have been voted on during the conference. And yeah, that's an
I
interesting
think it's a
idea. I like
draw, and
that. Hmm.
I think it would keep people because you also leave a conference with a load of notes and
Oh yeah.
I'm sorry, I've got all the bookmark sessions that I may or may not ever get to watch.
Right.
But they're like saved. So it gives kind of a bit of a debrief opportunity in real time for
Mhm.
some more meaningful networking and takeaways.
I like that idea. That's a good idea.
And I'm
Okay.
sure in New Orleans next year, no one's going to miss any sessions. Everyone's going to have 100% attendance at all pre-conference and conference sessions. Uh, Maybe we could have an informal discussion at Cafe Beignet sometime. Marilyn, you have raised your hand, please.
Hey, well, I have, we were new to this year, so I've been like really enjoying just like learning and getting ideas from everyone. I think the other challenge in our particular strand, since we're a really broad topic, it's hard to have like a networking meeting where we'd be able to fit kind of as a side. So to go what Jeff was saying, like if we were going to do something like that, we would need a dedicated space because it would probably be a very large group. Um, but one idea that came to mind, and I think I want to bring it up here while other people are listening, is I think there would be an opportunity for like a kind of a cool panel discussion around this topic. Um, that's maybe sponsor, we could even bring in one of our key sponsors to help with the session. But I think something where to spark conversation and dialogue, and just because we're the HSC Strand, so it's kind of a bigger topic. But that was kind of an idea. So I don't know how that works as far as like, is it gets submitted like a regular proposal and then we look at that. But I think there could be some opportunities there in some of those bigger topics.
Thank you, Marilyn. Anyone else, other ideas to support? And Marilyn, I know your Arizona has been new with doing a Strand partner, but you guys dived in with both feet, and thank you. You've done an amazing job.
Yeah, well, like I said, I already have also some social media ideas for next year too. I said we were probably a little quieter just because we were trying to feel things out.
Okay, any other thoughts?
I like her idea about engaging social media. I think for some of us, the scroll is like life, right? So having information available in bite-sized pieces that we can continue engaging people, both providing information and getting information from them throughout the year so that it's not just a once a year engagement or interaction, I think would be really cool. I am, unfortunately, I'm not volunteering and saying I can do that.
I don't know. It sounded differently to me. No.
Yeah, so all
To
in
be
favor of
clear,
Janiyah heading that up? All right.
No.
to be clear, I'm co-signing on the idea, not volunteering to implement it.
Okay, got it. You're volunteering. Got it. Hear it. Okay.
Stephen, so maybe I could, if I could perhaps, suggest something, ask a question at least. I'm from Southern California, and I sometimes feel I'm kind of like disconnected from the Midwest and East Coast, right? In a geographical sense, but there's also like I don't know, maybe an email barrier, I want to say. I mean, I'm not sure if I'm not, because again, my main point of contact is certainly, the focus group that Steve is leading, and then I do get, COABE announcements in general. But now I do myself throughout the year a number of workshops that have to do, I mean, I don't know, like artificial intelligence, competency-based education, student learning outcomes, things like that. So I just wanted to know if it would be okay for me to perhaps, I don't know who, but I could send an email to someone at COABE and, I don't know if I necessarily have to make it a COABE event, but it would not be a bad idea to kind of like say, hey, guess what? The conference happens once a year, but throughout we are supporting COABE with discussions such as this one. I'll be more than happy to, state that, right? I am a COABE member and I can always say something like that. And then with that, then we would expect, people from other states, other institutions to join us, for the given event. So with that, I would just simply suggest that perhaps what we could do is kind of like, oh, I don't know, unless again Michelle says that those things already exist, that perhaps have some kind of a, I don't know, monthly overview or even a topic of interest, right? Have someone from the field, so to speak, picked on, for lack of a better expression. Okay, the September is here, and you are going to do X, Y, and Z, or volunteers, obviously. Presentation on a topic, just to kind of like keep the spirit of COABE going throughout the year. So it's not just one time a year event, but sort of like on a monthly basis. And again, it doesn't necessarily have to be related to COABE as COABE doing business, but more like a COABE sponsored event. We are going to talk about I don't know, small group instruction or how to use Google Notebook. I don't know, in ESL classrooms or something like that. That I just a suggestion since you ask for ideas.
Yeah, thank you. One way we do keep the spirit of the conference going is through the monthly professional development webinars. that we now do one. And every month has a certain theme. Like, for example, June is high school equivalency theme, and working to set up a webinar for that. And I go through and pick highly rated sessions from the conference and invite those who did those sessions to present in those monthly themed webinars. So that is one way. Michelle, what am I missing?
Um, I do know, like, sometimes in the past, there have been some Strand partners who have put together like get together meeting and talk. I know they've done it on their own, but they've also had some of us have had us put it out in our weekly newsletter. So, as a Strand partner, we do have that ability to promote things out to our members, especially if it's to keep like that Strand topic going throughout the year. Like I think Jeff and Teresa kind of mentioned with digital literacy and technology, they try to keep that alive going throughout the year with, a meeting here or there, a touching base with those who want to be still in contact. That is something that, you guys could definitely do as a Strand. Jarek, I know you're in a big Strand. I think, are you in career pathways? I believe you might fall under that one. I can't remember, but I'm pretty sure it's a big one.
Yeah, over the years, I think yeah, I've been at least in three, maybe even four. I think I'm
Right,
maybe a
right. You
mixture.
fall under the
Thank you.
umbrella of a bunch of
Yep, yep, yep,
yes.
yep, yep.
So, that's definitely something we could still put out. Like if you decide to do or have somebody host something like your own special webinar or meeting or something, we could definitely still put that out.
Mm.
As a Strand partner, you're able to post things in our weekly newsletter. I know we say up to twice a year, but
Oh, wow.
yeah, definitely we could
Perfect.
promote something like that out if that's something of interest to you. And then also, Steve, like, he mentioned we do our monthly webinar topics. You could coordinate with Steve maybe when the month of your topic comes up and you guys can collaborate maybe on something. Um, you
Yeah, and
know.
I would love to get help and feedback. If you saw a session at the conference that was really great in your strand that you think really needs to get that national focus, shoot me an email. Let me know what that
Oh,
was. That would be very, very helpful.
Mhm.
I try to pick topics based on things that appeal to a broad audience and ones
Yeah.
that are highly rated and ones that aren't. A sponsored session, we don't want to do those, but those are the criteria that I use. And so, yeah, I would love your help if you saw a session that was just absolutely fantastic. Please let me know.
sure.
All right. Well, thank you. Had some good ideas, and I know several have mentioned that they're newer and they're gaining ideas. They've been lurking in the background, gaining ideas. So great. That's wonderful. So this is more last question about the conference and the old questions, comments, thoughts, and really what we're looking for here is maybe something that was thought about as you were hearing other people talk. Anything that comes to mind about your strand and maybe thoughts for next year or any other comments that we didn't go from before. And I just have to say before folks respond to this that the person in this slide on the right side, she must be really tired.
Sorry.
Okay, I did it. So we could move on there.
Mm.
That was good. That was good.
Pun intended. No more questions or thoughts, huh?
This isn't a conference question, it's a Hoover question, and I know you
Mhm.
obviously have limited control over that. I'm wondering if there is a way for like the navigation when you go to a day's schedule, the fact that you have to scroll through the entire day as opposed to them being chunked by the sessions. I'm
Mm.
just wondering if that's something that's available in the app because it's like every time you go to the day, you have to just scroll and scroll because there are so many sessions.
You can
Um,
actually search by tracks, so you can go just to
yeah,
digital literacy or search by keywords or
yeah. I mean,
presenters.
that's assuming like you only want to go to digital literacy. But if I just want to see, like, hey, I actually can go to a session after lunch on Tuesday because I'm not presenting and I don't have something, it's a challenge. So that there's that, and then I guess the other thing within that, because it does create like false flags for presenters, and I heard this a few times. People were coming to their sessions like freaking out that there were so many like
Yep.
people, but I get it. Like people are like sort of bookmarking it for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I
and that
know.
becomes challenging if you're doing like handouts or things like that, because like I printed out stuff on a day and then it was like, oh, there's not a lot of people in here.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I think, I don't know
We had
what,
that issue a lot, Jeff. Everybody's
yeah,
coming up, oh my gosh, I went to my room and it looks like it only seats maybe like 50 or 60, but I'm showing like 120 people. And it's like,
yeah,
let me reassure you, people are just they're saving it as a possibility. It doesn't mean they're necessarily going to be there in person, or they might just be adding it to their calendar to watch after the event. It's hard because we have so many sessions. Obviously, we've gotten up to like 500 sessions now, that it's impossible to really know what to do. It's not
right.
because it's a first come, first serve basis. If we had everybody pre-check what they're gonna go in for, I think that would be unfortunate because, people select things and they don't even remember what it was two
Yeah.
days later.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, I wish there was a way around that. I definitely wish there was a way. I think that's something that we definitely need to stress to our presenters, Steve. I think we need a
Yeah.
special focus on that during our office hours and maybe in our communications. Listen, just because you see this many doesn't mean there necessarily is. I think always having a digital copy of your handouts attached to your
Yeah.
session, I think is the easiest way to go. That way, like you said, Jeff, I would not want to go print out like 70 copies and only have like 30 people show up. That would annoy me. So I get you
Right.
there. So I'm not sure of any other way around that, unfortunately, with the size of our conference, of how we could do that differently besides just trying to communicate that to the presenters. But then again, I'm gonna be honest with you, we do a lot of communications to the presenters and they don't seem to
Yeah.
really read it. I mean,
Yeah.
you can have it right there. The answer's right in front of them, but they just don't read it for some reason. I think we just need to have a reading strand just for presenters.
Right. Just on the same token, though,
Yes.
I did hear comments on the number of sessions again being a little
Yes,
overwhelming, and
it
seeing
is.
walking by a lot of rooms, seeing them empty. And so along these lines, I know we can't capture it in the app. I think it might be a good idea, at least I think for our strand, I'm going to stress that we ask folks not as a like measure of like, hey, was your session successful, but like
Uh-huh.
getting actual numbers in terms of who attended, partly for us to understand what topics are gravitating,
I
and
agree.
like being able to provide guidance and for our own sort of review next year of,
Mhm.
session attendance, what's resonating. So I think there's a number of ways, like having a
Yes.
networking thing at the end, doing that sort of informal data capture of like who's at what sessions, attendance at sessions, so that we
Yeah.
have a sense of where the field is interested.
Oh, I agree with you. And I do see we're on the Hoover app where they do have it where we could pay for a thing to where they can do session check-ins going forward.
Oh,
And
cool.
I think that would be really great. Like you said, Jeff, just to know down afterwards, like who's really getting a lot. That helps me too, no offense. It really
Yeah.
helps me if you let me know. I kind of know like who some of the people are who get really a lot of people in their sessions, and I try to plan accordingly. When I see certain presenters, I'm like, oh, I'm not putting them in this room. That's not going to work. You know,
Right.
I tried to do that to the best of my ability, but I definitely think if we had something like that, like you said, a session check-in, so we can go back and look and really know what people are interested in and what they
Yep.
attended, I think that would really help. And I think it'd help you
Cool.
guys too. I agree, 100%.
Awesome.
You
Yeah,
have a couple hands up there.
we got a couple hands up, and I would just have to say Michelle does an amazing job with trying to balance all the different strands and all the different sessions and try to fit the best
But
room. It's
but I also agree that sometimes there could just be too many. And I
yeah.
think that it's getting to that point now. We just gotta, weigh out how many people are coming. I guess New Orleans, it might have to be a lot of sessions just to fit everybody. I don't know. It's always a record-breaking year. In 2013 it was, 2019 it was. So I'm pretty sure next year is going to be probably another record-breaking year. It's one of those cities everybody likes to try to get to that one. So, to accommodate everybody in at least a session, hopefully, I might not be able to limit, but that is definitely something that we have talked about recently, and I think might be something we have to look towards in the future.
All right. Well, Dee, you have been very patient. Go ahead, please.
I was just gonna say that we had the opposite problem in that we had to turn people away from sessions. We had 5 sessions where there was literally people were sitting on the floor and standing in the back. And so that it's both ends of that continuum are a thing we have to think about, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I agree.
Go ahead, please, Marilyn.
I had put in a chat, but a number of teachers, they had me as a captive audience as we were waiting for we're all going on the same flight, it seemed like. But they talked to me about the challenge of navigating, like if they've been in adult ed for a really long time or they're a strong technology user, right? So it was hard to know which session they should go to. Like, say, if they're using AI already, what would be a session for them as an advanced user versus someone who's new to technology or something like that. So I don't know. I don't have a strong answer, but maybe a question we can ask in the proposals on so that people can make informed decisions of, if they're brand new to adult ed, there might be sessions that were more
Yeah.
relevant for them versus someone who is a veteran and attending the conference
And I
for
think
the
we
sixth
used to
time.
have that a while ago, and I do think that that's something maybe we just incorporate again and let people know it's more of a beginner, intermediate, and advanced. I think were the sections that we had. I just remember this at some time, so I'm not sure if it just fell off or maybe it just didn't work. Um, but I definitely think I think it was just something more for having to do with the rubric and deciding on the sessions. But I think it would also be good to let the attendees know, like you said, Marilyn, maybe take it to the next step and we can let people know, like what level the session's at for the topic or something. I,
Yeah.
yeah, well, that's something to discuss. Yes, I do
And
like
sometimes
that.
it's in the title and sometimes it's not. I know it came up in the
Exactly,
technology
exactly.
sessions, but I'm
Hmm.
thinking too, like in our strand, someone who's maybe just getting started and wants to know more about the GED exam versus someone who's like supporting learners at a high level. So
Right. Hmm. I like that.
All right. Thank you. Good questions, good comments, good thoughts. Appreciate those. Let's talk a little bit about next year. So we're going to think about New Orleans, April 11th through 14th. And we would love it if all the Strand partners would have at least one person from their organization there next year. Think it's an easy sell to go to New Orleans. So that will certainly help. It's just a reminder that your strand does have one, or your organization, not just your strand, your organization has one free registration that will help out significantly on the cost. The encouragement would be, start planning now. The, the common reason why a lot of people sometimes don't go is because, oh, we don't have funding, we don't have funding. If we could start planning now, maybe we could do some things to work on that and get the funding in. I had a conversation with someone earlier this week, and they were talking about, or they requested the evaluation for their session, which I sent them, and they had tied it into a deliverable for their organization. And of course, if it's tied into your organization's deliverable, that will definitely get funded. So you'll be able to go there. The other thought I just had was if your organization does a personal development plan, attending COABE could be a great part of your personal PD by attending and perhaps doing a conference session there as well. And a lot of times, the easy answer is there is no money. And I get that. I understand, period. I also think the easy answer is not always the best answer. And everyone here is a very thoughtful, creative, intelligent person. And there is money sometimes if we scratch beyond the surface and look for different things, especially if you could tie attending COABE into a pet project of leadership. That a lot of times will unlock funds that could potentially be available. So, any ideas on how you're planning to get funding for next year?
No, because I floated the idea of OnlyFans to my department and was shot down.
Okay, well, that was certainly something I was not expecting to hear. Actually, glad that idea did get shot down.
As my twin, you should know I have great feet.
Moving along, your ideas on how to get funding to attend COABE 27 in person. See, the chat is filling up.
Mm.
All right, Stephanie, you're going to be there. Community foundations, yes, those are good. Those are good suggestions. Yeah, good. So you start the ball rolling. Be thinking about this for next year. It's not too early to go. Let's get through July when we know what our funding is going to look like for next year. Yeah, thank you, Marilyn. So there is money out there. Sometimes we just have to investigate a little bit to see how that will go.
Mhm. Yep.
Okay. So also, please consider doing a COABE 2027 presentation, or maybe consider if you were doing 4 different sessions and were thinking, wow, that's too many, maybe think about doing one less to allow yourself to be able to attend some sessions and do some more networking. So think a little strategically for what your plans are for next year. And certainly encourage the thought leaders inside your strand to be submitting proposals. Michelle, has a date been set for proposals to be sent out?
Yeah. So we'll be sending out the call for proposals on May 1st. It's tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow. I know it seems so weird to even say tomorrow. So, yep, it will be going out tomorrow and it will be going to the end of July, July 31st. So I know we were doing for a couple years to the end of June, but it really just didn't make sense with the funding and all issues and all that. So it will be going to the end of July 31st. And I haven't even been, I hear you. I hear you. Um, and, as a Strand part, you have a little more time, right? Since you're reviewing them, I'm sure you could squeak one in. You didn't hear me say that, but anyway. Definitely, yes, those will be going out soon, so tomorrow, and we do have some time, but please encourage, those good presenters or anybody that you know of, those thought leaders, like Steve said, to submit a proposal. That would be great. We'd appreciate it, and that will be going on for a few months, 3 months. So. All right, those are contagious, Janae. You got to stop that. I saw that yawn.
It's almost 3 o'clock in the afternoon here.
Yeah, same here. 5 minutes to go, right?
See, on that note, I think we better move to a close. If people are starting to yawn, so your memorandum of
Mhm.
understanding, also known as an MOU for this next year, will be coming out soon. And Michelle, what's the time frame when folks could begin to expect those, please?
Well, I will be sending those out. Usually I send them out around mid-May because that gives you guys all the way to the end of June to get those signed and, let me know if you're going to continue being a Strand partner or if there's somebody else that I need to be sending it to instead. Hey, Jeff. So, just, be on the lookout. I will be getting those out though in just a couple weeks and we'll go from there.
Very good, very good. So those will be coming soon. So
Can
we
we,
will say,
can I
go
just
ahead.
say thank you again to Michelle and to all of you because I had an opportunity with my gift card to try the mango cold foam matcha at Starbucks, and it was fabulous.
Are you hooked
So
now? That
I might be, yes.
I hear you.
Maybe that's what I need to stop yawning. It's not the meeting.
Yeah,
I've been going all day, you guys, all day.
I hear you. I need one
Gotcha.
of those too.
Yeah, that would be one that would be hard to repeat back from Starbucks, but when you have four different things. So anyway, but thank you all so much for being the valued Strand partner that you are. Thank you for your great ideas, and thank you especially. The conference is a big success, and you play a big role in that success. It's a huge undertaking to try to pick out the best sessions, and there's no way that COABE staff and contractors could do that in any way, shape, or form as good of a job as our Strand partners do. So thank you so much for being an active Strand partner, and we look forward to continuing this relationship going forward. And thank you all so much for attending today's quarterly Strand partner meeting, and we'll be getting out information about the next date that will be coming later this year. Thank you all so much. Appreciate your good ideas and have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
You too.